And I will let. We are live. So good morning, everybody. Happy Saturday to you. I am here in Atlanta, and this morning, we are a global interview. We got folks literally all over the country and all over the world this morning. So I am so excited to share these amazing two women with you this morning. So good morning again. If you don't know me, my name is Najah Drakes. I am the founder of Spark Her Blaze, where we empower women to spark their flame so that they can blaze their uniquely divine trail. And this morning, I have two amazing women with me who have sparked their flame and blazing trails. But what is so interesting about them is that they are doing it and ended up on this path in the most unexpected ways. And if you guys know me and you follow me at all, you know I love a good story. I love a good comeback. I love when things that you think are just setting you back are actually setting you up for something absolutely amazing. And I think that you will be so inspired by both of these ladies this morning. So I don't want to waste any more time. I want to get right to it because their stories are so rich and so powerful, and introduce who my two guests are this morning. So I am going to introduce Miriam Balderwang to you this morning. Say hi to everybody, Miriam.
Hello all.
Hello. And if you guys cannot tell from her amazing accent, Miriam is actually joining us all the way from the Netherlands, which
Yes.
I am so excited because, I don't know if I've ever interviewed anybody from the Netherlands, much less met anybody from the Netherlands. So I am excited to have her here. And for those who want to know geographically where she is, she's about an hour from Amsterdam. So that helped me kind of put everything into perspective. But Miriam is 50 years old and fabulous. I love that about her because when I asked the ladies to share a little bit about themselves that they want me to share with you, the first thing she wrote was that she was 50. And I was like, yes, this is the kind of woman I want to have on the show, embracing all the fabulousness of being 50. She is happily married. She has been a caregiver for more than 20 years to her husband and her brother. But she never lost hope when she was in the darkness, and she's in the process of writing a book, and she is a coach. So working primarily, we'll save that for later, but she is a coach who is going to share some amazing things with us about how she got there. So welcome to the show, Miriam. We are so excited to have you.
Thank you for having me on your show. I'm so excited.
We are as well. And so I will introduce my next guest to you. Her name is Ashley Jackson Thomas. She is meeting with us all the way from Ohio, a graduate of Xavier University in Cincinnati, where she studied finance and human resources. She also has her master's in human resources management, 10 years of practicing in that career. She is a wife of 2 years and also the founder of Timeless Dream Events. Ashley, welcome to the show. We are so happy to have you here today.
Thank you so much for inviting me. I am so appreciative and excited.
Yay! Well, we are excited as well. Well, I know people are anxious to hear your story about how God has taken some very unexpected turns, right, in your lives to build something very unexpected, but something very powerful and purposeful. And I really believe that right now, so many of us have been caught off guard with this whole corona thing, right? It was just this unexpected thing that showed up at our doorsteps, and we are trying to figure out how to navigate all of that, right? From the shock to the grief to, how do we pivot, in these unexpected circumstances. So I believe that both of you ladies' experiences are going to really give us some good insight, practical advice, and really show us up close and personal, like, we can do this, y'all. Like, we can really turn those challenges that we are facing into something that is bigger and better than we could ever imagine. So now I'm going to get right to this. So tell me a little bit about what was your life before you kind of experienced these unexpected upsets, if you will. Miriam, you want to start first? What was your life like before you moved into that situation when everything just kind of switched in a totally different direction?
Well, I was traveling a lot. I love traveling. And I love meeting people from all over the world, different countries. I just love it. And of course, I love food. So this gives me a chance to taste all kinds of different food. And yeah, I was traveling a lot, enjoying life to the max.
Yeah.
And that was kind of my life.
Yeah, that was awesome. For a career, what were you doing?
Well, I started as secretary.
Mm-hmm.
And then I finished my management and communication college. And after that, I started working for the government.
Nice. Very nice.
A few hours for the government. And then I met my husband, Martin.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like a pretty, admirable life. You were traveling and, had moved up in your career, ultimately got you a nice, good government job. And so you were living the life that you probably had hoped and expected.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that was until 1998, 1999.
Okay.
When I met my husband, and then
things kind of changed. Yes. Yeah, the unexpected. So that was 1998, 1999. Wow. Okay. So a little bit ago. Ashley, what about you? Tell me about your life before you kind of experienced this real unexpected turn.
Yes. So I, like you introduced me as, I went to school and got my bachelor's, and then I went back and got my master's. I worked at Kroger, which I know you're more familiar with.
Yes,
Kroger is in Atlanta.
Yes, we are familiar with Kroger. Yep.
Yeah, so I started off as an HR representative there, and then I moved up to be an assistant store manager. Mm-hmm. It just wasn't really fulfilling. And then I had my first kind of turn of events, which led me to leave Kroger. And like Mary said, I love, and I usually go to different countries. So, and then just throughout my travels, and then coming home, I had another twist of events.
Wow.
That changed my life again when I thought my first twist. God said, I've got something more for you, girl.
Something even more exciting and more unexpected. Sometimes I think the key sometimes is really how we frame and the perspective that we have when the unexpected strikes us, right? Because of course it's the shock, right? It's like, hold on now, God, I'm on my path. I did all the right things. I went to school. I got me a good job. I'm doing all the things that I'm supposed to, quote unquote, do. And then you're like, wait, this is supposed to lead to a certain outcome. And then instead, something else is happening. All right. So I am going to jump right to, because I know people at this point want to know, what was the unexpected that happened? Miriam, I'm going to start with you. What happened?
I'm going to start. Martin was a diabetic.
Your husband?
My husband is Martin. And we went to the doctor. He had his quarterly appointment. And the doctor said, Martin, I have to tell you something. Your kidneys are only functioning for 17%. So that was bad news. We didn't know we would get such an announcement, and we didn't know how to react. It was the first time for me. I didn't know anything about kidney failure. I knew he was a diabetic, but I didn't know anything about kidney failure. So I was in shock. In shock. literally in shock. I was angry. I was sad. I was in fear. I was all kinds of those emotions.
Yes.
All my emotions. I didn't know what to do. So that was in 1999. And then he started with dialysis in 2000, 2001. And that was a very hectic period. That time it was, I don't know how I managed, but I did, because I never lost hope.
Amen.
In 2003, he got a multiple transplant.
So both of his kidneys were transplanted in 2003. Is that what you mean?
2003.
Wow.
Martin has 3 kidneys. They didn't remove his own kidneys. So he's got 3 kidneys and 2 pancreas.
Wait, so he had a transplant of his kidneys and a transplant of his pancreas?
Yes.
Wow. Okay.
Yes. So imagine my days, to give you an idea how my days look like. I woke up at 5:30, went to the office, started at 7:30, worked until 3 p.m., came home. Martin spent a few months in the hospital. I took the car, went to the hospital, stayed with him until 9 p.m., 9:30 p.m., came home, checked email, messages, went to bed at 11:30, and at 5:30, woke up again.
All over again.
All over again, and that went on for 4 or 5 months. I kept going and going, because I thought I had to. I thought I was a superhero. People were asking me, Miriam, do you need help? No, I got it. No, don't worry. No, I'm good. I'm fine.
Ooh, that's so classic, Miriam. You know, I'm sure that a lot of our listeners can relate to that, right? People are saying, hey, how are you doing? You need some help? You're like, no, I got this, honey.
Superhero, she did that. I got it. Don't worry about me. I was exhausted. I burned out. And we had an appointment with a social worker after Martin's surgery. And of course, she asked Martin, how are you doing? And Martin said, well, I'm doing great, finally recovering. And then she asked me, Miriam, how are you doing?
I was like, so I find that so shocking. So he's the patient, so he's doing fine. And then she asked you, the caretaker, right? How are you doing?
Well, that question, I cried for 15 minutes.
Wow.
I couldn't stop crying.
Wow.
And the funny thing is, I was mad at her. Why was I mad at her? Because I didn't want to show that Miriam, the superhero, is also vulnerable.
Yes.
She's a human being. And as a caregiver, I can't be tired. No, that's what I thought.
You couldn't be tired. You didn't have space to be tired, to be weak, to be vulnerable, to just cry and be that was probably 5 months worth of tears bottled up that came out in like 15 minutes.
Well, it was the power of the question. It was also an eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
And I made a very tough decision. I remember it was in December. And I left Martin while recovering in the hospital. I left him for 1 week and went to my home country, Suriname.
Wow. Okay. I want to put a pin in that because that's so good. And I know our listeners want to hear about how you came to that decision and why you did it and all those kinds of wonderful things. Thank you so much for sharing that part. Ashley, I'm going to come to you now. Tell me a little bit about your unexpected. How did it come about? And what happened? Because when you told me your story, I was just like, are you serious? It was just one of those most amazing, like you see on TV, you know, kind of stories. So tell me about what happened when your life took the unexpected with your husband.
Sure. And, you know, before I get into that, I was just having a conversation with him. And I said, you know what, our story is so surreal, unreal, that almost seems fake what we've been through in the short amount of time that we've been together. So my first catalyst in my life that gave me an unexpected twist, untimely, back in 2011, he passed away suddenly, which got my wheels turning about life. And
wait, so your first husband passed away suddenly in 2011?
My father.
I'm sorry,
my
your father. I'm sorry, your internet was a little bit shaky, so I missed who it was.
Oh,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say first husband.
I'm sorry.
All right, so your father passed away suddenly in 2011. Got it. Okay.
Back in 2011. Mm-hmm. And can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay. So that got my life, my thinking on life, I need to do something more with my life. My dad passed away. He was in his 50s. And I'm like, well, I don't want to waste any more time in my life doing things that I don't enjoy. So I ended up quitting my Kroger position, which people thought was crazy because it was a good job.
Of course.
Girl, you're going to give up those benefits?
I know, like, how dare you leave a good job, Ashley?
And like Miriam, I love to travel. So that's what I did. I traveled for about 9 months. I left my boyfriend, his name was Troy. I left him to go travel for 9 months because I needed to grieve. I needed to think of me. I had to think of me because I just knew I was nearing this point of explosion and no one wanted that. So the beautiful thing about Troy is he understood. He said, if this will make you be a better person, go do it. I'm not going anywhere. I'll be here when you return. So I said, all right. So I went and traveled. I went to about 20 different countries.
Wow.
I gained this whole new self of strength and self-love, self-confidence that I had lost when I lost my dad. A lot of my confidence went with my dad. So I come home in September of 2016. Troy was true to his word and he wasn't going anywhere because January 1st of 2017, that proposed at Disney World.
Oh.
And yeah. And I said yes, of course. I mean, I couldn't pass that.
You were in the happiest place on earth, having the happiest experience of being proposed to. How could you say no, right?
Right. And I had, like I said, I had just found this strength, and little did I know I was going to need it, because March 28th of 2017, Troy was diagnosed with a rare cancer in stage 4.
Wow.
Survival rate of 35%. I never advise anybody to look up.
How far was that after your proposal that you found that out?
About 2.5 months.
Wow.
So we're newly, engaged, and we were like picking out colors and where our venue was going to be, like, what is our date? Like, we were like, yay. And then sitting in the doctor's office, we were like, what?
Run that back by me again, please.
Yeah, like we thought maybe it was just like a benign tumor thing that they could just surgically remove and we're going to get back to our, daily lives. And it totally, just changed everything. Wow. When you get that cancer diagnosis, it changes everything. It changes you, the patient, your circle, and self. I mean, it's, Miriam can agree to this, I'm sure. Like it just, diagnosis, when you hear it, you crumble. and you can be the strongest person, but you're just sitting there like, what? Because you have this whole, your whole life like mapped out in your head, and then it changes in an instant.
That is so good, you know, because I think that most of us can relate to like sitting down and mapping out, okay, you know, A plus B equals C, right? I'm going to do A and then we're going to do B. And then, of course, we'll end up at C, right? But as you ladies are sharing, it's just such a clear reminder that we can do all the things and we can have all the plans, but we don't know, you know, when that disruption, when that unexpected turn is going to come. I'm going to switch back to Miriam real quick, because right before we started talking to Ashley, Miriam, you were about to tell us about how your husband had the surgery. The social worker asked him how he was doing. He was like, yeah, I got new pancreas, I got new kidney, I got new lease on life. I'm doing great. And she asked you how you're doing. You fall apart, and you're just like 15 minutes of just, you know, Noah's Ark just coming out in tears. But then you said something that just really struck me. You decided to leave. Tell me about this. How did you come to this decision that, like, yo, I need, hello, time out, everybody.
Time out. I was so exhausted. I was tired. They discovered that I burnt out. And I thought about it. I came home and thought about it. And I said, Miriam, I looked in the mirror and said, Miriam, do you want to move on like this? What if something happens to you? Who will take care of Martin?
Wow.
And that, I remember it was Christmas. His birthday is on the 23rd of December. And I left on the 24th of December.
Wow.
My mom was still alive then. She picked me up at the airport and I started crying again. She said, honey, my child, you need this. You need to breathe. You need to rest. You need, I'm getting goosebumps while I'm telling this.
Listen, I'm getting tearing up listening to this because, because a lot of times we as women, you know, even if we're not caretakers, I believe that so many of us are caretakers, even if we don't have necessarily a patient that we're caring for, right? Because we have responsibilities that we care for. We have circles of friends and family that we care for and are emotionally invested in. And then, you know, you're trying to do everything to support them, not realizing and almost neglecting supporting ourselves.
Supporting ourselves. And Martin was more than, he said, hon, you have to go. I'm okay. There are enough people here with me. I'm not alone here. So please, it takes 9 hours. It's a 9-hour flight to Suriname. It was.
Now tell me where is Suriname for those of those of us who are geographically challenged? Where is it?
Suriname is in South America.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm sorry. Siri is taking.
Where is Suriname?
That's if you have Brazil here, Suriname is right here.
Awesome. Okay, so north of Brazil.
So I went to Suriname. I stayed there for 1 week with my mom, my family, very warm. I slept a lot. Of course, calling Martin every day, minimum of 3 times a day. He was doing great. But what I was telling you, it's a 9-hour flight, and it was a very, very, very long flight. During that flight, I thought a lot. What do you want, Miriam? Do you want to continue like this? What if? A lot of what if. When I got home, I had a long talk with my mom, my sis. And that's when I decided, no, Miriam, you can't go on like this. Not anymore.
Wow.
Not for me, not for him.
Wow. So when you got back, like, What was different? Like, what did you decide that you were going to do differently after having this, breakdown, right? To some degree, just this revelation about, you cannot carry the whole load. And even though your husband has needs and you want to, like, what did you decide you were going to do differently?
First of all, I decided that I was going to ask for help. Can't do it alone. No way. Ask for help. Don't be like a superhero. Don't act like a superhero. No. Ask for help. Looking for possibilities. Communicate better. Schedule, organize, socialize, but most important, self-care.
Yes.
Owning my well-being was number one. And since I started, it took me a couple of months, maybe years.
Right.
To figure out what the best techniques and tools were.
For you.
For me.
Yes. And it's so good, Miriam, that you bring that up, because I often share with women that when you think about self-care, it's not about the bonbons, it's not about the warm bubble baths, it's not about the spa days. It is about, how do I commit daily to taking care of me, to replenishing me? And also, you mentioned something about time management and getting organized. How do you preserve yourself as well, right? Because if you don't take time to anticipate some of the crazy and those things that are going to deplete you, you won't be in a position to show up as your best self for yourself or for him.
No way.
That's good.
I'm happy I did it, and I learned myself the techniques and tools, because in 2012 my brother got a stroke.
Oh wow.
So
here we go again. But you were, but this time with more wisdom, right? You had learned the lessons, you had kind of thought through about, okay, no time to be superhero. Let's think about what can I really do feasibly and not compromise myself. That is so awesome. That is so awesome. Actually, tell me a bit. Okay, so you start telling us about your fairy tale. Literally, you're in the place where dreams come true at Disney World, getting a proposal, and within a couple of months, finding out that your fiance, soon to be husband, has a stage 4 cancer and 35% prognosis in terms of survival. You were about to say, if you find out, first things first, when you find out information like this, don't go to Google. Tell me about that.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
I mean, I know they say not to go to WebMD, but guess what I was doing? www.webmd.com.
Exactly. Not the place to go for hope.
The place to go for hope would be, there's tons of groups on Facebook. If you're into spiritual and religious, you're seeking out those types, your church, your pastor. There's also all kinds of faith-based groups on Facebook. There's all kinds of groups on Facebook.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's where I turned to. I relied heavily on, my pastor and one of our sisters, one of our leaders in my church. She would stop by my house, just ring the doorbell and come in and pray for my fiance Troy.
Wow.
She would cover him in prayer, gave him prayer cloths to hold to his, because it started in this area, and just hold it there. Our biggest thing was faith.
Yes.
Because that's all we had, other than the expertise of the doctors.
Yes.
The first thing we had to rely on was the ultimate healer. And thank God he's still in the miracle business, because that's all we had to rely on.
Amen. So tell me, so tell me, like, I mean, I'm getting frazzled just thinking about it. So you're engaged, you get the diagnosis. So what do you do about the wedding? You move forward with the wedding? Do things go on pause? Like, how do y'all proceed?
Okay, honestly, I wanted to pause it because it was just too much. His hospital where he was receiving treatments was an hour and a half one way. Wow. And so I'm running him up and down the highway because we had the opportunity to stay like at a Ronald McDonald house. But when that man got done with his treatment, he would just look at me with these puppy dog eyes and say, I want to go home to our bed. And I'm like, I'm not going to deny him that. So, yeah, you know, I'm going back and forth. I'm like, can we just postpone the wedding we were going to get married in 2018. I said, can we postpone till 2019 when you're done with treatment, you're feeling stronger, better? He kept saying no. I'm like, I'm not saying let's not get married. Let's just wait another year. Right. He kept saying no because he was not sitting in that chemo chair. He always called it the chemo chair. I'm not sitting in this chemo chair receiving this gnarly, harsh chemo for no reason. I want to see you walk down the aisle. Wow. When we have already booked our venue, that date, that's the date I want to see you walk down the aisle. So I'm planning our wedding, working, cleaning, cooking, running up and down the highway, losing my mind. Right. But I bottled it up. Yeah. And I have such a great support system. But like Miriam said, you know, you don't want to ask for help. Yeah. And I didn't. You know, my mom was a caregiver for her mother, and she's now a caregiver for her father. So she knows that caregiver life too. So she even kept saying, Ashley, let me do something. Nope. I got this. You've got things you have to take care of. Nope. I've got this. Super shero, Miriam. Yeah. And you know what's crazy is that super shero thing will kill us before it kills the person who got the diagnosis. And I think I don't have a statistic. I should look this up, but I've read many articles that say the caregiver usually passes before. Wow. Can not usually, wrong term, can sometimes pass before the person that they're giving their giving their all to. Yeah. I do need to look up that statistic. But yeah, the burnout and stress is real. Yeah. And just the guilt, right, of feeling like you have to be there for that person all the time, not realizing how that is bearing down on you. Wow, you ladies have just really spoke to so many facets of the experience of when we get faced with the unexpected, right? First, you deal with the shock. I know, Miriam, you talked about the shock, the anger, the sadness, then the grief, right? And then it seems like at that point, you kind of go into a survival mode, right? Like, let me just do what I need to do to survive. Each day is more about, let me just, whatever I can do to just kind of keep going. But it's interesting that you both kind of reached a point where you're like, I cannot do this. It catches up with us. Y'all, I'm telling you, as women, hear this story that, no matter what you are, whoever you're caretaking, your kids, your husband, your neighbors, your friends, just your job, because I think sometimes we feel, we're kind of like caretaking as it relates to the work that we do, right? So in all of those instances, just know that when you put yourself behind those priorities, when you put yourself second to those, that it will catch up with you. So tell me now, all right, so I am just, again, so inspired by both of your stories of how you have, had these epiphanies and now recognize how you move forward. Tell me now, after you both have gotten to these points of, kind of breakdown, what kind of routines, what kind of practices have you put in place to really help support you and prioritize you, even though you have a very, stressful, very important responsibilities that you have to care to every day? Miriam?
Well, to give you an idea how my day looks like now, is I wake up. Before I get out of bed, I pray. That's the first thing I do. After praying, I meditate for 10 minutes. Then I take a shower. And now with COVID, I have breakfast. And then I start working. Depends on the day. I work 2.5 days for the government. After, during working.
Now, is it quiet during those times? Is that before your husband gets up? When you get up and have the prayer, the meditation?
He gets up earlier.
Okay.
He gets up earlier. So during lunch break, I take a walk. I go outside and take a walk. And I prepare dinner together with him most of the time. And we try to do many things together as much as we can. And Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, those are my writing days because I'm writing a book about my caregiver's journey.
Awesome.
And in the evening, I also meditate before I go to bed. But I also take some me time.
Yeah.
In the weekend, and that can vary from getting my nails done myself, a pedicure, it depends, or reading a book or listening to music.
Yes.
And when I met my brother, he needs some help as well. When I want to have some me time, I can, for instance, listen to an audiobook while I'm vacuuming. That's me time too.
Yeah.
So, and I own my me time. For instance, if Martin asks me, Miriam, can you help me with this? If I've scheduled that time for myself, I tell him, no, hon, but I can help you later.
Ooh, Miriam. You are all up on some of our streets right now because the idea of setting a clear boundary. You know, I am, as I'm speaking to you, I'm just reminded of how often the guilt, right, that we feel to care for someone overtakes, right, and supersedes the boundaries that it's okay for us to set for ourselves, because like you said, you got to care for you because you can't care for him if you haven't cared for you.
Nope.
Yeah. And I love the way you integrate self-care into just your everyday activities. Yes, you can get your nails done and that can be part of your self-care routine, but the majority of your self-care, it sounds like, are activities that you integrate every day. Prayer, meditation, you're taking a walk every day by yourself and then meditating in the evening. Ladies, I hope as you are listening to this that you understand some insight into some ways that you can integrate these kind of practices, even if you have big responsibilities on your plate. Because these ladies have huge responsibilities on their plate, and they're still making time for it.
There's one more thing I forgot. I write every morning, 3 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes. And I have a small notebook, and I write 3 to 5 minutes, whatever comes to my mind. If nothing comes to my mind, I write, I'm not thinking of anything right now.
I love it.
Funny thing is, I get a lot of ideas by doing only 3 to 5 minutes every morning while I'm sipping on my coffee. I'm writing 3 to 5 minutes, whatever comes to my mind, and it gives me so many ideas. I love it. Yeah.
Wow. You know, that is, you know, people sometimes think of journaling as this huge practice, right? You got to sit down for an hour. You got all these blank pages that are screaming for you to like fill them up, right? But what you have really kind of defied for us and clarified is that you just 3 to 5 minutes, anything that comes to your mind, even if it's, I don't have anything on my mind. I will tell you, I do that with my journals when I'm like, I don't have anything to write about. When I start off by saying, I don't have anything to write about. So I'm just going to, and the next thing you know, I'm writing all this stuff and it's like, oh, okay. So my journal prompt today is, I don't have anything to write about. And then that's going to give me something to write about. So ladies, take that because that is good stuff. You just need a few minutes, you know, to really kind of unwind and give your brain an opportunity to really kind of get some stuff out there. Ashley, tell me a bit about, with your many responsibilities as a caretaker for your husband, like what are some of the practices, what are some of the routines that you set up in your day to really help you manage and prepare for the load that you're carrying?
Yeah, so like Miriam mentioned, it's about setting that expectation and holding yourself and others to it. You know, I will tell, like I told my husband this morning, babe, I have a podcast I'm going to be a part of from this time to this time. So that means you're going to have to do whatever you want. You're going to have to do it. Ashley can't do it between this time and this time.
Yeah.
I literally have found myself having to schedule self-care. It just got to that point. I don't know if Miriam does that. It sounds like it. She's gotten into a routine. I have to schedule mine or else it slips my mind. My self-care slips my mind.
Right.
Crazy, I know.
No, but I mean, I think that most of us women can relate to that. And I'm going to tell you, I do the same thing. The things that people find on my calendar that I've actually written in will shock them. I mean, because I literally will write in there, journal 5 minutes, I will write in there, hard break to take a break at 12 o'clock and set up an alarm to make sure that I follow through on that, because I've got 5 kids. One has special needs, and so it's always crazy over here. You guys know last week one of my kids fractured his elbow. So I mean, when you have a bunch of kids, you don't know you never know what the week is going to bring you, right? And so for me, it is about scheduling and really putting on my calendar and being very clear, right? And setting those clear boundaries about, hey, I know you need me from 4 to 5, but I need me from 4 to 5. So can I get back to you at 5 when I'm finished with my me time? So I love that, Ashley.
Yeah. Becoming more intentional with my time. This is my time. This is me, because I need it, or else I'm not going to be able to take care of you or your needs how you need them or want them to be. Even something for a caregiver that might say, well, I don't have time. I can't go off to the spa. It's like you guys mentioned, it's not about going off to an extravagant spa day. It literally can be, don't tell my husband, sometimes I sneak to my car and sit in there for 5 minutes and listen to
Oh literally. My gosh.
And he'll be texting me, where are you?
For that. I have a name for that. I call that the parking lot ministry. It's or sometimes I call it pause and park. You park that car and you pause. I love it. So I know all about the parking lot ministry. I do.
I mean, sometimes that's all it takes. You can throw on your Kirk Franklin, your Snoop Dogg, your Garth Brooks, whatever it is, and just go to town. And then 5 minutes later, you walk back in the door. You're like,
exactly.
Wow. What a breath of fresh air.
Exactly. I just went to the spa in my car. I'm going to tell you, I actually did some research on this and found that the research tells us that if you actually sing like karaoke, singing along with your tracks, that it actually lowers your heart rate, reduces your stress. So I think that that's wonderful that you're in your car. And ladies, if you are just needing 10 minutes, I would also say, put that on your calendar. Like literally be like, all right, so I'm finishing work at 5:30. I'm going to write down on my calendar in the 5:30 slot, park and pause time. And you just go in the car, set that music on, sing along. I love it. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, and sometimes he'll text me, where are you?
Exactly. I'm refueling, buddy. I'm at the gas station for all intents and purposes, right?
That's awesome. I'm all about finding those quick and easy tips. Hot showers can be therapeutic. Going for that 20-30 minute walk, Miriam, is very therapeutic. As long as it's something that you enjoy for yourself, and it gives you a clear mind, that's what self-care is about.
Amen,
that's
sister.
all it is.
Amen. I could not agree with you more. And I hope that our listeners are gathering like how valuable just stealing away those pockets of time are. All right. So I want to get to how God really took these just unexpected events, traumas, if you will, and allowed you ladies to pivot in such powerful and purposeful ways. I mean, as I started hearing how you guys use your experience as a caretaker to then, pursue these purposeful pursuits, I was just overwhelmed. They are just truly powerful. So Miriam, tell me about now, because of your experience as a caretaker, tell me about this business that you've built and how your caretaking experience was really the inspiration behind it.
Well, I started an online web shop in 2013 while taking care of my brother. And I closed that web shop last year. When I did it, I didn't know what I wanted to do. The only thing I knew is that I wanted to continue working with people. Until a couple of months ago, when I talked to a friend and I was telling her my story. And when I looked at the screen, I saw her in tears and I said, oh my gosh, that wasn't my intention. I didn't want you to cry. And maybe I should write a book. And she said, that's what I wanted to suggest. Why don't you write a book? She happens to be a writing coach.
Oh, wow.
That was in the beginning of, I think it was the 5th or the 6th of August when we talked. And on the 22nd, I started writing my book.
Wow.
But then one morning I woke up and I said, Miriam, you need to help fellow caregivers, coach them. What I've learned, what I've experienced. How did I break through? How did I do it? And I still do it. And that's when Caregiver 2.0 was there.
I love that. Caregiver 2.0. Tell me about Caregiver 2.0.
Right now, they are Caregiver 1.0, but when they're done with my 6-week online program, they are Caregiver 2.0.
Oh, I love it. So you are basically teaching courses to caregivers on how to go from Caregiver 1.0 to the new version of the Caregiver 2.0. I love that.
It's time to beat those struggles and own your well-being.
I love it. That is amazing. Who would have ever thought that your experience as a caregiver, where it just looked like your world was being turned upside down, that God would just use that to turn it right side up, right? So that you're in a position now to stand alongside other women that experienced what you went through. Is just amazing.
Exactly. And I want them to stand in their power while they take care of their loved ones. It won't be easy, but it's possible.
Wow. Yeah, I got to think that when you become a caregiver, that in many ways you feel powerless. And so I just love the idea that, part of your course and part of what you are coaching women to do is to stand in their power, even in these powerless situations. That's awesome. That's awesome. Ashley, I know you've had a similar experience with taking, your experience from having to find out this devastating news about your husband right after you got engaged and not knowing that you were going to become a caregiver, like literally within 2 months of your engagement. So tell me now, how are you using that in a purposeful way? How have you transformed and shifted from, being on the victim side of this thing, right, to, hey, I am truly a victor through this thing?
Sure. Yes. So, like I mentioned earlier, I was planning our wedding throughout our battle. And I say our battle because even though it was him and his body, I was in the trenches with him.
Wow.
And, I just I finally, when he was pronounced cancer-free in March of this year.
Woohoo! We need a bell. I don't have a bell.
I know. That's when, like Miriam had her epiphany. That's when I started sitting there thinking, well, now I don't have to run him up and down the highway so much. What am I supposed to do? Because that's all I knew for the past 3 years was running here and there and like a chicken with their head cut off. And I decided to stop moping around and invest in myself. And I hired a business coach. And throughout our coaching sessions, just learning and working through my likes, dislikes, passions, my pains that I've been through in life, with my father passing away suddenly, to caregiving for Troy, and my passions of event planning and travel planning. Timeless Dream Events was birthed out of my pain. So I curate and create events for the terminally and chronically ill and their loved ones. So whether that's a birthday, wedding, whatever, celebration of life, I try to, I love when I can give people their flowers while they're here.
Yes.
But I will plan a celebration of life if I need to. And it's just so powerful still to me that I was able to turn something that was so painful and heartbreaking in my life into something now that I can be empathetic and sympathetic to the next person who might find themselves in my same situation. I didn't know who to turn to when I was planning my wedding. Who would have believed me? Who would have helped me really sit there and listen to me? Well, now I can be that person for someone who may find themselves in our same situation.
Oh, I love that. And I remember hearing also, Ashley, that you basically help people who need to schedule their events like quickly, right? Because when you're dealing with a terminal illness, right, you don't have 18 months to plan a wedding, or 12 months or 6 months to plan that memorable birthday party, or even if you're planning the celebration of life while you're still here. I definitely think you should have your flowers, right, while you're still here. So I love how you, because you've been there, you understand the special nuances, right, the special needs of people who find themselves after getting that terminal diagnosis. Wow.
Correct.
Wow.
And even during our planning of our wedding, I had that extra stress on me of, I'm planning this big day for us, but is he going to make it? I always had that in the back of my mind. Is he going to make it? Is he actually going to see me walk down the aisle? It was always something that I always thought. I had, and I was hopeful, faithful, but still, it was something. And that's something that I can help other caregivers or families work through, because I understand that thought process. And yes, we can, make your day beautiful within a short amount of time. I work with people that understand and support my vision, my mission, that are there for me and for the client when need be. It's such a beautiful thing to be able to work with other people that are sympathetic to the needs of the clientele.
Your clients. Yeah. You know what, I also, as you were talking, I was thinking how important it is to celebrate, even in the midst of our trials. I believe that that's essentially what you are allowing families to do, to celebrate in the midst of your trials. And I know that just sounds so contrary, right, to everything that we have been taught, right? You wait until everything's all lined up and perfect, and then we celebrate, right? We celebrate once we've gotten the degree, or we celebrate once we've reached the end goal. But I feel like you ladies' story reminds us that it's so powerful. And there doesn't need to be any guilt, right, involved with celebrating right in the midst of the trial.
Life is too short. Cliche, but true.
Right. Yeah.
Life is too short. You know, take your cap off, give the roses to whoever needs it. It's not easy. Life isn't easy. Caregiving isn't easy. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. But what I am here to do and what I am here to say is you can find your way.
Wow.
You can find your way.
I love that. I was just going to ask you, Ashley, you know, I wanted you to share something with women out there who may find themselves in an overwhelming situation that, you know, they didn't expect, that they weren't necessary. They don't think they're prepared for, but I believe that God prepares us for all of it, right? But I was going to ask you one thing is that you would share with her. And I think that really is it, what you just said. You will find your way. You know, if you just continue pressing through, taking time for yourself, remembering that that is an important key in this, right? But you will eventually find your way. Miriam, what about you? As we have listeners here who are struggling, either currently, it may not be a caretaking situation, but they may have found themselves confronting a challenge they didn't expect. What advice would you give them as they move through that process?
Ask for help.
Ask for help. Yeah.
Ask for help when you're stuck.
Yeah.
Count your blessings.
Yes.
Truly
Yes.
count your blessings, and don't wait. Just like you said, don't wait to be. If you want to celebrate your birthday, don't wait until that birthday. I'm gonna give you an example. Last 2 weeks ago, it was Monday evening. I had a bottle of champagne in the fridge. I popped that bottle.
It wasn't any special day. It was just, you don't have to wait. Day. You made it that special day though, right? I made it
that special day, and I said, Martin, to our lives.
I know that's right. That is so good, ladies. I want to just first thank you both so much for agreeing to come on the show. You know, we were supposed to have this last week, but I had the unexpected happen with one of my kids. So I appreciate you ladies being patient with me until this week. But ladies, oh my gosh, there were just so many nuggets there. You know, celebrate now. Don't wait. Ask for help. Kill the superhero. We need to just let her go all together. Take those little day off. She needs a whole life off. She just needs to be gone. Bye, Felicia. But we need, take those little moments. Don't wait. And remember that there is nothing wasted. I don't care how challenging where you currently are is. I don't care how insurmountable it may look. But as Ashley said, that a way will be made. And on the other side of that, there's an opportunity for you to have a powerful and purposeful outcome to it all. And I think you ladies have really showed us just how powerful and purposeful the other side of the unexpected can absolutely be. So I thank you both so much. I'm going to give you both just a second to share with everybody. Where can they find you? Caretakers that are out there, Miriam, who are like, oh yes, I need this 6-week course. Help me. Where can they find you?
MiriamBalderwang.com.
MiriamBalderwang.com. She is available to walk side by side with you, with caretakers as they navigate this unexpected journey. And for you, Ashley, tell people where they can find you if they find themselves in a situation where they are dealing with some sort of terminal illness or a challenging health situation, but they still want to make sure they celebrate in the midst of that. How can they get in contact with you and be able to do that with your help?
Sure, absolutely. You can find me at www.timelessdreamevents.com. And I'm also on Facebook and Instagram at the handles Timeless Dream Events as well.
That is awesome. Yep. Thank you so much, ladies. You have been amazing. I have been inspired. I literally had to take my glasses off and wipe away the little sweat that was forming up on my eyes as y'all were sharing your stories. But it's just such an inspiration and encouragement. And really, I hope that our listeners take this information and are just reminded that you can do the unexpected even when you find yourself facing the unexpected. So I thank you, ladies, so much. Y'all have a great day. Everybody out there, check us out again. We're usually here every week on Spark Her Blaze, where we empower women to spark their flames so that they can blaze their uniquely divine trails. Check out our website at sparkherblaze.com. You will find resources there that will help you to spark that flame. If you find yourself stuck, if you find yourselves in that unexpected situation, we want to stand beside you and support you as you move forward and blaze your uniquely divine trail. Y'all have a great Saturday. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much, ladies. Have a great day.
Bye-bye.